Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our October meeting, the month in which we celebrate breast cancer awareness. Sorry about that, didn't realize my video wasn't on. Welcome to everyone. We are going to try to get started pretty much on time tonight because we have quite a full agenda. We have a speaker and we also have some interactive discussions to take place afterwards. So we're going to get started. I don't know if we have anyone on tonight who would volunteer to open us up with a prayer. I'd be very happy. Come on, we must have somebody. No takers? Okay, I guess I'll have to do it. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to make peace with the day and have an open mind and heart for tomorrow. Help us to be a blessing and to see the good around us, the good in others, and the good in ourselves. Fill us with happy thoughts and a thankful heart. These things we ask in your name. Amen. So we're gonna jump right into our agenda. Just a few announcements before we actually get started with our speaker. I'll give her a few minutes in case she needs some time to get organized. Just a reminder of some of the upcoming events this month and next month. On Saturday coming, October 15th at 6:30, we have our family night and bingo, which will be held at Breeze's Super Club starting at 6:30. So come on out and have some fun and games. Bring the kids, play some bingo, win some prizes. Promises to be a fun night. We look forward to seeing all of you there. Tell a friend, bring a friend. Then in November, on the 26th, I think I have the right day. November 24th, 25th, the Friday. We have Love Lights a Tree at the Mall at Marathon, First Caribbean Bank on the lawn. And on the evening after that is our evening at the races, which I understand is already either sold out or pretty close to sold out. So they all promise to be good, fun events. So we look forward to those things as we approach the end of the year. So we'll move into our program, starting with our speaker. And following our speaker, we'll have some interactive discussions with some breast cancer survivors. We hope to make that part of the meeting very interactive. We encourage you to, if you have any comments, anything you want to share at that time, to open your mics at that time and share with us. If you don't want to speak, you can type it in and we'll read it from the chat for you. But without any further delay, I'm going to ask our speaker, Dr. Elizabeth Darville, to get started. Dr. Darville is certainly no stranger to the Cancer Society. She's been a great supporter for a number of years. And for those of you who don't know her, I will let her tell you about herself. And but we all know her as being connected to Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center, and she'll be sharing with us some information on testing and screening, and I'll let her fill in the details. So over to you, Dr. Darville, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Elizabeth Darville. I work and own Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center. We now have 3 locations, one in Carmichael, one down the street in Fourth Terrace, and one on Shirley Street in Grosvenor Close. I have worked with the Cancer Society for many years, And if anybody from Eleuthera is on this chat, hello, how are you? Yes, I haven't seen you guys for a long time. Hope everything's going well. Today we would like to talk about screening and imaging for breast cancer. And screening actually begins with, Dr. Halliday, you need to put up a slide, please. Screening actually begins with education. Lots of things begin with education. And we should all know our risk factors, our family history, and our plan. If you have a family history, your risk factor goes up. If you have a family history and your BRCA genes have mutations, your risk factor goes up even more. So it is important for you to know your risk factors and your family history. So if your mother, your grandmother, your aunts, your sisters, close family have breast cancer, then your chances of getting breast cancer automatically goes up. If we have mothers, grandmothers, aunts, sisters with breast cancer, or those same relations with prostate cancer, we have to think about doing our BRCA genes. Our BRCA genes are genes that everybody carries, but some people have mutations on them, and the mutations raise the chances of you getting breast cancer tremendously. So a mutation on one BRCA gene may cause a rise in 68 or so percent, or 268 or so percent, and on the other to 70%. So it doesn't really make that much difference. You are very much more likely to get breast cancer if your BRCA genes have mutations. So people who have close family members, especially family members in progressive generations who have breast cancer, please consider getting your BRCA genes tested. It's just a blood test. No big deal, it's just a blood test. So now that you are armed with the information, you can make the plan. If you have no family history, you just follow your doctor's instructions and you get your mammograms. And you get your mammograms yearly after 35. If you have a family history, your doctor will probably want you to start testing before you're 35. In this case, you will be tested with an ultrasound and not a mammogram. The mammograms start at age 35. So it's not that you can't get tested. It is that you get tested with a different modality than you get tested after 35. I really have to say that again, because I have met so many young people who say, my mommy has breast cancer, but they tell me I cannot have a mammogram. Yes, you shouldn't have a mammogram, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be tested. So if you are below 35 and your doctor thinks that you should test, then you're going to have an ultrasound rather than a mammogram. You find that many people don't want to have a mammogram because they, whoever that they are, say that it hurts. The secret to a mammogram not hurting is to have your mammogram done the week after your period. So if you have your mammogram done the week before your period, this means that all your cells are full of water and they are not happy. So when you have your mammogram done and your breast is compressed, you have a lot of very unhappy cells and it hurts. But if you get it done after your period is finished, all that excess water is out of your cells and your breasts don't mind being squished a little bit, but you still have to squish them. So you now have your information and you have your plan. If you have a family history, again, we keep going back to this. If you have a family history, your risk is higher. And when you come to do your mammogram, we look at you differently. The slightest little thing that comes up on your mammogram, we will ask you to check again in 6 months or 4 months or whatever. Now, mammograms and ultrasounds go together after you're 35. Before you're 35, they go together, but only if you have to. So you're going to get your ultrasound first if you are below 35. Mammograms can detect mass, it can detect calcifications, it can detect architectural disturbances, but it cannot do these things if you have dense breasts. If you have dense breasts, mammograms really have a hard time going through your breast. This is where ultrasounds come in. Ultrasounds don't mind if your tissue is dense. They can go through anyway. So you have a mammogram.
Recording in progress.
You have a mammogram and you see that your breasts are dense. This means that not all of your breast tissue is seen. The parts that are not seen, anything could be hiding there. So you do an ultrasound. Now, you don't know this until you have done your mammogram. So people who have had 2 or 3 mammograms, you now know, okay, I'm going to get my breast tested. I will need an ultrasound because I have dense breasts. So the mammogram will tell you some things, the ultrasound will tell you other things, and you add them together. So it's not really an either or, it is an addition. Now, there is another modality we use for screening breasts, and that is MRI. If you have a mammogram done, and whether you have dense breasts or not, you don't find anything. You have an ultrasound done, and you still don't find anything. But my boss always said, you don't treat results, you treat patients. And if this patient has symptoms or can feel something, or their breasts don't move normally anymore, or the skin is thick, or you have these little bumps on your skin that's not a rash, there has to be a reason. And you just don't say, well, your mammogram is okay and your ultrasound is okay, so it must be in your head. Don't buy that. The next step is an MRI. So there are people who see nothing on an ultrasound, nothing on a mammogram, but they have symptoms. And so you have to investigate the symptoms. And that's where MRIs come in. MRIs in some places are also used to guide biopsies. In other places, ultrasound is used. We use ultrasound. It depends on what the radiologist is comfortable with and comfortable doing. Guidance is guidance. It doesn't really matter once you get the lesion in the biopsy. Now, if a mass is found, what do you do? Well, the first thing is you don't panic, because a mass could be all kinds of things. So we need to find out what it is. And let me go back for a second to breast self-examination. When breast testing first became widely popularized, widely used, the breast self-examination was very important because you would be searching for a mass that you can feel. Well, thank God we are far along from that now. We want to catch the mass before you can feel it. So yes, you still do your breast examination, not now to feel the mass, but to get used to what your breast is like. Everybody's breast is different. And so when and if it changes, you will know and you can say to your doctor, I felt this or I felt that. It is, you should not wait until you can feel a lump, because technology now can find the lump long before you can feel the lump. So when we say if a mass is found, we are talking about finding either on your mammogram or on your ultrasound or on your MRI. If you find a mass by feeling, then that mass is at least 1 centimeter big and was there at least for a few months. So finding it is not the first stage. Your screening modalities is now the first stage. So, okay, we find a mass. We can't look at it and say, this is a malignancy. We have seen enough of them to suspect, but I have done biopsies over and over where I could swear that this was something. And it turns out to be something strange, but not malignant. So you need to do your biopsy and find out what this tissue is. Technology has advanced again. The whole idea of you having to go to the hospital and put you to sleep and do a biopsy, that is gone. Biopsies are now done in the doctor's office or in the radiologist's office, and a proper sample taken, and then you go home. You don't have to go to the hospital for a biopsy anymore. Because the technology has advanced so quickly, and we've gotten to the point now where even if you put the patient in hospital and put them to sleep and say, we're going to do a biopsy, if the mass is a 1/4 inch, you won't be able to find that if you actually cut the breast open to say you're going to find it. So in that case, you will need either the MRI guidance or the ultrasound guidance. Now, there are masses that the only way you know that they're there is because they have calcifications. And ultrasounds are not too good at tiny, tiny, tiny little calcifications. So in this case, you use the actual mammogram machine to localize where those tiny little calcifications are You put in a little wire, fine little wire, and then you go and have that area removed. The surgeon will then follow the wire to find the spot rather than follow his eyes. Now, everybody has calcifications. Calcifications come in all shapes, sizes, and causes. So just the fact that you have calcifications doesn't mean anything. It's the type that is the problem. So now we've done the biopsy. You came to the office. You had the spot numbed. A special needle is put in, and the actual needle takes a piece of the suspicious tissue. That tissue is sent off to the lab, and the lab tells us whether it is malignant or not, and what it is, whether it's malignant or not. Sometimes additional testing is required, and these testings are usually immunostains. It's actually a stain. You drop some fluid that actually stains the cells, and that gives the pathologist an idea as to what sort of cells they're dealing with. If the mass then comes back as a malignancy, now there are other tests that have to be done on the same tissue that you sent them in the first place. So you don't have to take any more tissue, you don't have to do the biopsy again. It is on the same tissue. These tests give your surgeon and your oncologist the roadmap to your treatment. Do you need chemotherapy? When do you need it? Before or after? Do you need, what sort of chemotherapy do you need? What sort of surgery do you need? All of these things, those receptor tests will help make the decision. So now you're armed with your pathology. You know what the tissue was. Your tissue has been stained, or maybe it was so obvious that it didn't need staining. And now you have your receptor tested. Your estrogen receptors, progesterone receptors, something called HER2. And if your HER2 is inconclusive, the lab often does what's called gene amplification to find out. So that's another test they might add. Now, you, the patient, needs to be involved in your treatment. You need to be actively discussing with your surgeon and your oncologist as to what path you want to take. They will tell you what's available, what may not be a good idea, what may be a good idea. But people often come to my office and say, I said, well, what was the discussion? They didn't voice any preference. They didn't argue. They didn't say, well, this is what I would like, or I want to do this. We have to remember that it's our bodies we're talking about, and you have to take an active role in your treatment. Your end product should be something that you decide collectively between yourself and your physician or physicians. Recovery after surgery has also come a long way. Years ago, it was thought that everybody should be quiet and they shouldn't exercise and they shouldn't do this and they shouldn't do that. Those things are no longer so. The idea is to get you back to normal life. Normal being exercise, doing whatever you were doing before, going back to pre-surgical things. So you're not frail, you're not fragile, you're not having anything hanging over your head. We need to just get on with what we have to do and get back to normal. So discussions and planning are extremely important in recovery. Now, no physician or friend or whoever who has not actually gone down this path can honestly tell you that they know. They don't know, but they can help. And they can also help you get in touch with people who do know because they've already walked that path. And it's very important to realize that you're not alone. You're not alone in having had the disease. You're not alone in whatever comes up. And the Cancer Society does a wonderful job in getting people networked and getting people who have been through this to talk to people who are just going through it. So don't be shy, don't be afraid to reach out to the Cancer Society and say, you know, I need to talk to somebody because of this or that. Or just I need to talk to somebody. Your physician, your friends, they will all help. But they don't really know. And the questions, the little tiny things that are not so tiny when it's happening to you, they can't help with that. Find someone who has gone down the path that you are going to have these discussions with. There are lots of questions that people ask about whether they should do one thing or the other, or whether they should go to this one or go to that one. My answer is always, we have excellent people in the Bahamas dealing with this matter. Find somebody that you are comfortable with. If that means going for an appointment with A and then going to an appointment with B, that's fine, because you and this person are going to be together for a long time. So find somebody that you are comfortable with and know that it doesn't matter who you choose, it just matters who you take to, according to my mother. So choosing the person that you're going to walk this road with as physicians is important. You need to find someone who you are comfortable telling things to. So just make your choice and know that we have excellent people here, and some people take to some people and some people take to others. That's a choice. But feel comfortable making that choice within the Bahamas. So that's a quick rundown of screening procedure, and I would welcome any questions or discussions. Where's our host? Hello?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Anyone who has questions are free to ask them directly. There aren't any in the chats at the moment, but you can unmute your mics and ask your questions to Dr. Darville directly if you have any. Floor is open. Don't be shy. Well, that must mean you must have done a really good job, Dr. Darvo.
Or not. One or the other.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
With the biopsy and then the receptors.
Yeah.
The receptors will tell you the staging of the cancer?
No, the receptors will not tell you the staging or anything else in that along those lines. The pathology will tell you the grade of the tumor. So whether the tumor is aggressive, whether the tumor is grade 1, 2, 3, whatever. But staging is done using other modalities, because staging now, the question is this tumor confined to its own space, or has it moved from the breast? When you do your mammogram and your ultrasound, we would be able to investigate the nodes under your arm. So if we find a node under your arm that looks invaded, that node will also be biopsied. And if that node comes back as positive for breast cancer, we know that the breast cancer has spread to under your arm. So that is a staging element. Before you have surgery, depending on how small your lesion was, depending on whether you had a node or not, you may have a CAT scan and or a PET scan. That will, those tests will determine whether there are cancer cells that have embedded in other organs. So that's the staging process.
Thank you.
I have a question as it relates to the BRCA gene testing. How long does it take to get the results on that? And is that testing covered by most insurances?
It's tested, it's covered by most insurances, and it takes maybe 10 days to get back the results.
So can persons come to Fort Terrace to do their BRCA testing?
Yes, we don't do the testing, we don't do the pathology, we send it off. We have an arrangement with a lab in Florida. It's the same lab that Cleveland Clinic in Florida uses, and they do all our testing. So the biopsy is sent to them, the blood for the BRCA genes is sent to them. We are radiologists. We don't do any pathology work.
Okay, that's good to know, because persons have called the Cancer Society in reference to the BRCA gene. Where do they go to get it? And I didn't know that anyone had done it here. So it's good to know I can now direct persons to come to Fort Terrace to get their blood work done in order to find out.
Now, they need to first speak to their physician, and the physician will write up a request and send to Fort Terrace. Because you don't just wake up one morning and say, I need my BRCA genes done. You have to have some reason. Your mother has breast cancer, your grandmother has breast cancer, your father has prostate cancer, your grandfather had prostate cancer. It's something you do because of a reason. You understand what I'm
saying? Michelle Johnson has her hand raised. Go ahead. Michelle Farrington, sorry.
Hi, I would like to know if you find that your biopsy comes back positive for cancer, how long it should be before you do a surgery?
That's a surgical question. Where's Dr. Shea? I
can answer that.
Yes.
Well, when you get a positive biopsy, a percutaneous biopsy, then you should try and have it sorted out as soon as you can. You don't wait 2-3 months. You should sort it out within 3 to 4 weeks. Seeing a surgeon, seeing an oncologist, and we will stage you, as Dr. Darwin mentioned, and then decide what is the best option, whether it be chemotherapy first or whether it be surgery first. We gather those information like Dr. Darwin mentioned, biopsy results, receptor results, staging results with the various radiological modalities, and then we decide which is the best option. But you don't want a cancer to stick around too long, because it can grow and it can break off and spread to the rest of the body. So you want to try and act upon it as soon as you can.
There's a question in the group.
Can I add something to that? Because of what Dr. Shea just said, when we find a patient who needs a biopsy, we always ask that patient, as soon as you have your biopsy done, or start planning. Planning doesn't cost anything. So if this is something, this is what I'm going to do. This will be my surgeon. So you can, as soon as you get your results and it comes back malignant, you already know which surgeon you're going to, so that you don't waste any time, you don't lose any time. Yes? Yes?
The question was, what age do you start breast screening?
Okay, that depends on your family history. If you have a family history of breast cancer, you should do a baseline study probably sooner than if you do not. Your first mammogram should be at age 35. But if you have sisters, mother, grandmother, aunts with breast cancer, especially if they were diagnosed younger, then your first breast study should be done before you're 35. In that case, you would be doing an ultrasound, not a mammogram. So it depends on your family history, and these are the things that you tell your regular doctor. Look, my grandmother has breast cancer, my mother has breast cancer, or my aunt or sister or whoever. I need to get my baseline breast study done. And my youngest breast cancer patient was 23. So it is not impossible. And especially in the Bahamas, where we have such a high rate of breast cancer, we have to pay attention earlier. But we don't use a mammogram. We use an ultrasound for people who need their breast screening done early.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Darville?
Yes, my grandmother died from breast cancer, and so did a first cousin. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, I am blessed with 2 girls. At what age do I need to worry about them being tested?
You mean tested for their breast tested for mammogram or ultrasound?
Yes.
Okay. How old was your mother when she was diagnosed?
My grandmother, she was in her 40s.
Okay, so she was diagnosed early. So if your girls are in their 20s, then they can have ultrasounds done.
I actually was just diagnosed in last year at 52.
Okay.
My daughter is 21 and 13.
Well,
So
the 13-year-old, no. The 13-year-old, she is very unlikely to be a candidate for a breast malignancy. The 13-year-old may feel a lump, but that lump is very unlikely to be a malignancy. If your 13-year-old feels a lump, she can have an ultrasound done. If she doesn't, it really isn't necessary for a 13-year-old to be having her baseline breast study. Now, your 20-something-year-old, that's a different story.
So now me being concerned, of course, I can now take and get an ultrasound done.
No, you take your 13-year-old to her pediatrician.
The 21-year-old.
Or the 21-year-old. You take her to her doctor, whoever that doctor is, and you have a discussion about your strong family history.
Okay.
And make a decision whether she could have a breast ultrasound done and whether she needs her BRCA genes done. And then you come and get whatever the recommendations are. But you have a family history that raises the question of BRCA gene mutations, and you have a daughter, so she needs to be ultra careful.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions before we move on to the second part of our program? Okay, Dr. Darville, you're gonna stay on, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. So now we want to move into, I guess, somewhat of a little bit more interactive part of the program. And I'd like to introduce three ladies with us tonight: Deanne Parker Davis, Alma Sweeting, and Erin Storr, who are all breast cancer survivors and have agreed to, I guess, share some experiences with those of us on the group tonight, as well as I have a few questions that I'll put to them. And I guess if the other people in the group have any questions, hopefully they would be willing to ask them as well. And we could have a bit more of an interactive discussion, having gotten that information on the testing and the screening out. And I guess just to kind of open it up, I would like to ask Alma, Deanne, and Erin, in that order, please, to just describe with us the moment that you got your diagnosis. I guess, what were your feelings? Were you at all surprised? Were you expecting it? And how did you handle the news? So if we could start with Alma. I think I saw Alma earlier. No, Alma maybe dropped off. I'm not sure.
She's there.
Oh, she is?
But she's probably muted. We can't hear the volume.
Oh, yeah, she is muted. We're not hearing you, Alma. I think she doesn't have...
She didn't join with audio?
No. You might have to log out and log back in with audio because you don't seem to have audio, Alma. Well, while we wait for Alma, maybe we can move on to Deanne and Erin, and then we'll have Alma join in after. So Deanne, if you want to go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I am Deanne Parker Davis, and my journey started with a routine annual on my birthday, February of last year, that led to, this journey that I was quite surprised and taken aback. Now, I shouldn't have been surprised, but I didn't want to believe it anyway. But my grandmother, my mom's mom, she was she died from breast cancer. I would not have been around at the time. Then her niece died from breast cancer. I was a teenager. And then looking at my father's side of the family, there's my grandmother on his side. She had stomach cancer. So basically in my family, we have about 4 different types of cancer, because I have 2 brothers as well that has prostate cancer, and one that died after being diagnosed 3 months with pancreatic cancer. So we know that the family has cancer on both sides. Now, my own started, like I said, with a simple annual, checkup that I do every year. And did I believe it? No. I went for a mammogram. My doctor didn't find anything. I didn't find anything, but the mammogram showed something. And it's like, okay, we are seeing something, we want this. Now, but being so sure, let's do a biopsy. At that point, a biopsy was done. They removed 3 specimens. 2 came back perfect. 1 came back a little iffy. They said, we don't like this 3rd specimen because there's something showing a little, little bit of cancer cell. But to rule that out, we now wanted to a lumpectomy. So the lumpectomy was done. And I remember going for the results and everything like that. I sat and I went all by myself, because for the life of me, I still didn't think or believe that, man, this is cancer, because I work out all the time. I eat basically or relatively healthy, and it's like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, or, things like that. So it's like, and it can be, So when the doctor gave me diagnosis, he says it's cancer. I remember having an out-of-body experience. I literally saw myself sitting in the chair, and like I was somewhere else just listening to all the information that was being given to me. And I remember tears flowing, and it was like, boy, listen here. These decisions are serious. And while the decisions were given to me, I made the decision right then and there. I said, take them off. I remember specifically saying, take them off. The doctor said to me, okay, go home and come back and bring somebody with you. I did that about 3 or 4 days later. I brought my sister with me, and I sat down in a chair again, and I made the same decision, take them off. The fight for me after that was one that, man, I didn't see myself going through all of that, but I knew for a fact that I was going to beat it. I remember before I started chemo, because the official results came to me in April, and in May I started chemo before I went into surgery to have the I'm forgetting the word. Anyway, the removal, yes. Double mastectomy, that's the word. I had chemo before that was done. And I remember sitting up in bed one day, and I said, no way in this creation, you gonna take me. I said, you chose the wrong person. I said, you chose the wrong person. And I literally decided from then and there that this was going to be a fight that I was going to win. I am now cancer-free. And I mean, the fight, the challenge was one that I honestly, like I said, couldn't see me going through, but I made up my mind that I was going through it. And the good thing about it was that the cancer was caught as an early stage. I was diagnosed at stage 1. So that was awesome in that, we caught it early. Yes, we caught it early. There was joy, but there was still the fact that you have cancer. You now need to look out, for you and your girls. My family was there for me. Everybody was there for me. We went through all of this together because my two brothers, my three brothers, and myself, we all were fighting the same time. We went through all of this the same time. I'm in remission. My two brothers in remission. Unfortunately, we lost a brother. That one was pancreatic. But the fight in itself was one that I don't wish on my worst enemy. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. And I am happy now and, you know, doing everything that I need to do. But that's a walk. I don't wish to do it again. I am so thankful just to be alive. I am just so thankful.
Thank you, Deanna, for sharing. Thank you so much. I know that had to bring back a lot of memories for you, but thank you for sharing with us. Did Alma get her audio up yet? Alma? You're still muted, Alma. There you go. We still can't hear you though. Is anyone else hearing Alma?
No, can't hear her.
Oh.
Does Dr. Holiday have any control over the muteness or not?
No, I think it's her system.
Yes, it seems so, because we saw the microphone earlier and now it's unmuted, but we're not hearing her.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Everett.
Oh, wait, let her talk from mine.
Oh, okay, good.
My shorts. Oh. What happened?
So just unmute Everett.
I unmute.
Okay, now we're hearing.
I unmute.
Okay, but now we're getting feedback. Can you hear me? But now we're getting feedback. Can you hear me? But now we're getting feedback. Turn that one off. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. That's better. Or was.
I know.
I need to want to get up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, Oh, I apologize for that.
That's like somebody else wants to share.
Oh, that's little Isabella. I apologize. So I'll be quick.
No problem.
Okay, my diagnosis came in October of 2021. We had a lot going on, but when October came, we felt like we could finally exhale a little bit because we had sadly lost two close family members to COVID. My sister had spent 10 days in ICU, but thankfully she recovered. And then we were making plans, you know, breathing again. We were going to to Nicholas Children's Hospital to take little Jesse. Little Jesse had our grandson. He had surgery in vitro at about 4 months old, and the doctor said after COVID, you know, they had only had the what do you call it, Dr. Shea, the meetings, the video meetings or whatever. But it was time for them to poke around a little bit, make sure he was okay. So we were going to do that. Then we had a son who had just bought a house in New York. We wanted to go in and see that. So we were really, really excited. But about two nights before we were scheduled to travel, when I was showering, I felt a distinct hardness in my right breast, and I said, no, this can't be. And I think I almost jumped out of the shower, but I don't know what kind of denial I was in, but I came out and I said to Everett, my husband, I said, do you feel something? And I don't think he wanted to alarm me, so he said, something. So anyway, I don't think we slept that night. Talk about things change overnight. So the next morning, long story short, I got an appointment with my doctor, Dr. Chin, and after checking, she says, I'm going to be honest with you, this feels suspicious. So it was on to an appointment with a post-Harris diagnosis and a biopsy. I can't tell you that I was myself. I felt like I had fallen in some black hole. I asked Dr. Chin, I said, should I cancel my plan? She says, no, because you have to wait for tests to come back, and plus your son would be disappointed. So I don't know how I got on the plane, but I did. I went to New York for a week, and I think I was in a daze the whole time. But the minute we got back in Nassau, it was just endless tests. You know the rest. In that period, I'll skip over that. It was more tests, and it seemed to be like more tests. And I think for me, I totally disassociated myself from this story which was going on. Like, this couldn't be happening. I'm the caregiver. What's going on? I just couldn't think. I was functioning, but I wasn't functioning. But I want to say that I'm so thankful to my doctors and who were there, gave me so much encouragement, Dr. Chin, Dr. Shea, and I have to say, though, at the top after God, I thank God for my family who mean everything to me. I don't know how I would have made it without my husband and my children, my mother and my siblings, because they kept me sort of like, they kept me alive mentally, because I think I tuned out. I didn't know what treatments I was having. Dr. Darvel said, yes, be involved, but Dr. Darvel, you have to give me a pass on this one. I wasn't. I think I'm just now learning about what happened. I'm learning more. I know what my treatments were after the fact. I wouldn't say unfortunately, because I feel very positive about my future, and I'm so thankful to God. So what I want to say in closing is just lean on your faith, lean on your family, and if you have a family member or a friend who's diagnosed, reach out to them. That is so important. And I find that if anyone just takes the time to send a note or even offer a meal, it means so much. And as for the doctors, Dr. Dowell hit the nail on the head. Really interact with your doctors. And my husband did most of that for me. And because, a long time ago, and I'll say this quickly, I remember when you felt nervous about questioning your doctors or asking to see your own notes, but not anymore. You can do that. You can have your own file, pretty much just what they have, you have. And so all of this stuff I've now read and I'm going through. And if I have questions, I go on with my questions. And the other thing I said, I want to say is, do your self-check-in, because I was not very good at that. So do your self-check-in, go for your mammograms, whether you have big breasts, little breasts, family history, or what. My breasts did not run out of my clothes, like my friend said, but yet I had only missed one mammogram during the COVID year, because I felt like it was just a little bit too close for me. But so I just want to encourage you to just encourage also the caregivers. I can't say enough about that. I can't say enough about them, because during COVID, my family kept me safe when we were all paranoid and nervous. So for any of you who are going through it, just stay encouraged and lean on your faith. And thanks to the doctors. I pray for you all every day as well, because you all need the prayers too. And thanks for letting me share my story.
Thank you. I'm so happy we got that audio worked out. Thank you for sharing. It seems to be a common thing, I guess. People kind of, first you go through the denial, and then, I guess you have to find the strength to go through what you need to do what you have to do. We're going to ask Erin now to give us a little bit of her story, her diagnosis, and where she went from there, who helped her through the journey.
Well, like Alma had said, I had routine mammograms done every year. And I did one in February of 2016. And I didn't do it early in 2017 like I usually do. And I said, I'll wait until October for, to get the discounted price. Because at that time I was not working and I didn't have any medical insurance. My birthday is October 31st. So I traveled to Grand Bahama to spend the weekend with some of my best friends. And so I said, I'll do it when I get back. And the first week in November, they still had the special going. And I went to the breast center and I had my mammogram done. And the results were sent to my doctor. And he didn't call. And I said, okay, everything is probably good. He didn't call. And then I got the call and they said, I need to do a ultrasound with a biopsy. And, my heart sank. I'm like, what? So went to Fort Terrace and I did the ultrasound. And then the tech said, we have to do the biopsy. I'm like, where will I get this money from? So, your faith becomes much stronger when you hear these things. So I got the biopsy done and I prayed hard. I said, please don't let it come back. Please, please, please. But it did come back, stage 1. And at that time, when it came back, I was about to travel to London for the Christmas holidays. So when I spoke to my doctor about it and I told him, I said, well, I got to deal with this in early 2018 because I got to travel. I already bought my ticket and everything. So he said, go ahead, enjoy yourself. And I didn't throw a pity party. I really didn't throw a pity party and cry, but I was concerned when I went away. Like every time I'm feeling my breast, like, where is it? Because I couldn't feel anything. I'm like, where is it? Is it here? Is it there? But I enjoyed myself. And I said, if this is the last time I get to travel, then so be it. And I came back in January and I went to see a surgeon. And because it was in the early stages, they gave me an option of lumpectomy or a mastectomy. Well, I figured that it was in the early stages, I could offer a lumpectomy, which I did. And after that, a lymph node was removed from under the arm on the same side the lump was found. And one of the lymph nodes had traces. So that moved it up a little bit more to a stage 2. So I had to do chemo and with radiation. Well, with the chemo, that was something, I tell persons, if you ever, especially women, if you ever had morning sickness, that's somewhat what the chemo does. It make you nauseous. It make you don't want to smell food. You don't want to smell fragrances. You want to vomit sometimes. And I've never had morning sickness. I have one son, but it was a roller coaster ride. But I would tell persons who are going through it, you have to find what makes you feel good, whether it is sucking on a popsicle, eating frozen watermelon or grapes. You have to find something to help with that nauseousness. Going through my chemo, the best support, I wouldn't say the best support, but to go through it, you have to have a support group. You cannot go through this journey alone. Don't try to hide it and say you're going to take it on by yourself. You cannot. There is emotional, there is physical. You cannot do it alone. And I had a tribe. I have a small group from church and they were with me hand and foot. They went to my doctor's appointment. They even went with me to chemo. And that was such a great help because when you're feeling in that space where you feel like, okay, I've been diagnosed. Am I going to die? And then you start thinking all the negative things. And then you need someone to pull you out of that darkness and tell you, no, you're not going to die. You're going to get through this because you are going to beat this, you know, but your mind will tell you so much things that you don't want to do it. And so going through that and with my radiation, it was an experience, and I love to share it with many because those who are going through, like I said, you know, don't understand. Take somebody with you everywhere you go, to the doctors, to anywhere, because when they start telling you certain things you have to go through with this journey, you get lost in the blah, 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 blah. You don't hear nothing else. All in your mind is saying, I have cancer, it may spread, I'm gonna lose my family, I'm not gonna be here for this, you know? You start thinking like way in advance and not right there in the moment of what's going on. So you always must take somebody with you. And it's been, like I say, it's been a journey that now that I'm here at the Cancer Society, I think that was my purpose, for me to go through this journey, to be here for those that need the support, that need to be educated, that need to lean on someone to find out, like, what is this? Why is this happening to me? And I encourage ladies, like Alma said, you know, she doesn't have breasts that spill out of her body. And our topic is know your melons. You got to know your melons, whether it be a small, tiny melon or a big, giant watermelon. You got to know them and to get them tested. That's the only way that you will preserve your life. And if it's caught in the early stages, like Deanne did and I did, she opted for a mastectomy. I didn't. But, you know, it can preserve your life, and hopefully, you know, you can live longer without all of that stress.
Thank you, Erin. So yeah, so tonight we've kind of seen a little bit of everything on the spectrum. We've had the Deanne who removed both. We have Erin who didn't remove any, just did the lump, and not quite sure with Alma, but everybody's been through it all. And one of the things I guess that resonates is that I do believe that having a support system is something that everybody should seek to have. And I just want to say that at the Cancer Society, we have support group meetings. And so whether you want the group thing or the one-on-one, Erin does a lot of the one-on-one with persons who come in with questions. But then, you know, we do also have the group thing where we do the discussions as well as activities, things to take your mind off of what you're going through. So I would tell everybody, whether for yourself or a family member or a friend, to let them know that we do have that available out there and to take advantage of that. I see Michelle Farrington has her hand raised. So go ahead, Michelle. You can unmute.
Hi, I just want to concur with the three ladies because I was diagnosed at the age of 33. I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And like they're saying, you need that support base. And most of all, you need that faith. You have to have that faith to move on. I am now a 24-year survivor, and I give God thanks. And I just wanted to share that.
Awesome. Awesome. Kudos. I can't wait to get there and say I am that also.
Yes. And another point I think that was raised by Dr. Darple, as well as Erin made the point, and I think also Alma, probably Deanne as well, but I think making sure that you take someone with you to your meetings, but also having those conversations with your doctor. Sit down and think of the questions you want to ask. Make sure that when you leave there, you don't leave there with any, you know, questions in your mind. You know, things that you should have, could have, wish you had asked. So if you can't do it, take somebody who can and will do that for you, because I think all of that will probably help in clearing your mind in, you know, what you need to do and equipping you with what comes next, what to expect. So I think that in the past, we always had this thing that the doctor knows everything and knows all, and we shouldn't ask, shouldn't question, shouldn't challenge, just let him tell us. But I think that we need to really understand what it is that we're going to go through, what we should expect, what do we do, and make choices, not just take advice. Advice, yes, but I think we should also partake in the choices and the decisions as to where we go. I see there's been a number of comments in the chat group. Somebody said 24 years as a survivor and so much more to go, which is true. Great testimonies, ladies. Our God heals. Thank you, Minister Patrice Bain, for that. To Alma, great job, Mommy. Thank God for your healing and now testimony. So yes, it's good to share, and it probably helps to heal you, but also somebody else will heal from your sharing. So thank you to all those ladies for kind of opening your hearts and your experiences and your journey to us. And I guess now if each of those have anything else that they would want to share, any advice that you didn't put out there already, I guess we'll go Deanne first, if you have any last closing comments. And if you don't want to, you don't have to, because we're grateful for all that you've already shared, but just giving you one more opportunity before we close out. If there's anything else you do want to share, feel free, open your mic. And if there are any questions, anyone else in the audience who would like to share or ask any questions, if the ladies are up to questions, I hope they would take them.
I can say that. Can I call my doctor's name, my surgeon's name?
I think so.
Maybe the surgeon for all three of us. Go ahead.
Okay, so. Dr. Shea. Okay, Dr. Shea. Dr. Shea. I would like to say thank you so much for just, giving me all the information and everything that I actually needed to make the decision that I did. My decision to do a double mastectomy at the time, so many persons thought it wasn't something I should have done because it was an early stage. But looking at the genetics, the history in my family, I actually went with what I thought was best, knowing that at some point, it's a possibility. I mean, we are only human. Who can say what can happen and what cannot happen? And I was only thinking of my girls. Dr. Shea gave me all the information that I need. And then my oncologist, they worked with me and they made me see so much more than I would have seen. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. If I didn't say so before, I'm saying it again now. Dr. Shea, I thank you. I thank you. My oncologist, Lord, the name is now slipping me. And Dr. Curling, I don't know, this seems to be something that I have for a while now where memory seems to come and go. But anyway.
Did you take chemo, Deanne?
Yes, I did.
Yes, that's what they call chemo brain.
Yes.
Oh, you tend to forget.
I've been beating myself up for that. Like things just like what I know, it just, oh my goodness. Okay, yes, I did. I did
chemo brain.
Yes, okay, well, that's me then. But I just wish to say thank you and thanks for, having me share with you. Thank you so much.
And we want to say thank you for sharing with us. We appreciate that. Alma, you have any closing comments, remarks?
I'm gonna come right in and do it.
While we wait for Alma, there's a question. Did diet play a role in the recovery process? Any comments, ladies, on any specific dietary things that you think?
I think so.
True?
I would think so. Your diet plays. Another point, like Deanne, I've been a vegetarian for over 30 years, about 30 years now. I haven't eaten red meat, no fish, no conch, no turkey, anything. And I thought I would have been exempt. because I ate a plant-based diet. I didn't drink sodas or anything of the sort. I would have casually, red wine. I'm not a big drinker. But my downfall is I like sweets. I like pastries, and I like M&Ms. And sometimes I go into a sugar craving and I consume them in high quantities, which I should not. But I think having a more plant-based diet, eating a lot of vegetables and fruits, helped with the healing process. When I was diagnosed, Dr. Curlin told me that mine was a low grade, so it was not aggressive. And my diet probably played a major role in that I stay away from sugary drinks, no juice, no sodas. I drank a lot of water, and I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables. So yes, diet, I think, too, plays a major role in your recovery process, and also with your diagnosis too. But also too, Deanne, Dr. Shea was my doctor, and I really do appreciate him. He was very, very educating me on everything. He told me mastectomy, if I did a mastectomy, if this would happen, if I want to.
We're not hearing you. It's going very faint.
Sorry. He gave me a lot of information to go by. He didn't, it's just not a diagnosis. You need surgery, and then that's it. He gave you options. This is what you could do. This, and sometimes it may seem like a slap in the face, especially when being diagnosed. But knowing everything that you have to go through in this journey is the best thing. Not going blinded, not knowing like what's going to happen next. And like Dr. Darble had said, once you have done a biopsy and there is chances of being diagnosed, you start making plans. You start thinking on who's the surgeon I'm going to go to, who's the oncologist I'm going to go to. Start getting funding or things together to know, when this has happened and the results come back positive. I know where to go from here. I'm not like lost or anything, but don't be afraid, ladies. Don't be afraid to get your mammogram done, because the earlier you do it and it's in the earliest stage, it is best treatable. It's most treatable.
Alma?
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, I elected to have a double mastectomy too. The cancer was in the right breast, but I said, ain't no way I'm going back at this thing again. I don't, I just don't want to deal with it. So I elected to take both off. I'm 63, and my oncologist, Dr. Curlin, since the names have been thrown out there, Dr. Shea too, he would never know how much I appreciate him and his wife, because she was my Dr. Rock as well. But oncologist, like I said, he said, okay, you're gonna do the reconstruction. I said, I don't know. That's why Amazon is there. I says, because I'm 63 years old, I don't know if I need to put them back on. And it's not that so much, but I just don't feel like going through the surgical part again if I don't have to. And lastly, I would say is, I believe at the end of the day, we are all stronger than we think we are. I didn't realize that. I guess I was that strong. I don't remember really feeling sorry for myself. I was more sad, I guess, because I did not want my family to be sad because of what was going on with me. So I think we are all really brave, and having gone through this, I just want all of us to continue to be brave for others, because they're going to be, when you say prayers or you go to the doctor's office for a visit, there are people in the waiting rooms, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're going through this, and you sort of like don't want to put yourself in what they're going through, but we can all continue to pray and encourage.
I agree with that. And Alma, I just want to say that I have somebody viewing here with me, and she would like me to tell you that you look amazing. And I agree with her. You look absolutely stunning. And that when she heard you say that you were 63, she's like, wow, she looks great. And you really do.
Well, like both Deanna and Erin, you feel like you're living your best life. You walk in, you're eating well, and then this thing hits you out of nowhere. So we all have our own plan, but God brings this other plan into our lives, and we just have to deal with it, and we have to ask ourselves, well, what is the reason? And that's why we have to figure out, okay, now who can I help? And when I told my children I was doing this, and my son said, well, if you can only encourage one person, yeah, you need to do it.
That's right. And so we thank you. And you all are warriors. And you are brave to do this. And because we don't know any of you. And so I feel now like we're all family here. So if that has helped you in your journey at all, I would say mission accomplished for all of us here tonight. So thank you all. You are all amazing. You look amazing. You sound amazing. And your journey has been one to continue to share. People are going to be encouraged by it. I see somebody has a message in the chat. I am encouraged to have my testing during this month, Pauline Lockhart. So that's we've saved one, or we've helped one along the way, right, just there by going to do the testing. So, all of these things serve a purpose. And throughout this month, I'm sure this is one of many sessions and forums and chats that will take place. And so, all of this goes a long way with helping somebody down the road with whatever it is that they may go through. So once again, ladies, thank you so, so very much. Thank you to Dr. Darville for coming and sharing with us on the screening, helping us to know what to expect, how we go through it, and what are the different stages. Thank you to Dr. Shea for being the wonderful doctor that he is, helping all these ladies through their difficult time. And we always tease Dr. Shea, but in the Cancer Society, but we all, at the end of the day, he's a jack of all trades. He does it all, and he does it all well. And we're grateful to him for the job that he does with helping everybody through it all. I don't know if anyone else in the audience or any of the speakers, anyone else has anything else they'd like to say or to share. The mic is open, feel free.
Hi, I would like to give a special thanks to Dr. Darville and her team at the Fort Terrace Diagnostic Center. I have been there now for the past over 10 years, and they are very professional. They handle you with care. And I love my doctor, Dr. Loxley Monroe.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I
will pass it on to the team. Thank you.
Yes, good job, Dr. Darville. I also do my screenings there, and I was there even during COVID. The whole environment and the atmosphere, very professional, very, I felt safe, and that was very important to me as well. So thank you for the wonderful job that you guys do at Fort Terrace.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else have anything else? Dr. Shea, Erin, before we close out?
Good night.
No, just about the reminder of our bingo night on Saturday. We encourage all persons. It's like a breast cancer outing. So we encourage everyone to come and partake in our bingo night Saturday, starting 6:30 at Super Club Breezes. We have lots of beautiful prizes. So come on in, bring the whole family. Admission is free. And the cards are only like $1, and the highest maybe $5. But come out and support the Cancer Society.
Yes, and it'll be lots of fun. So yes, everybody come on out and join us, and let's have a good time in the midst of all this awareness. Let's have some downtime for fun.
One thing, I cannot take any credit for the pictures in my presentation. They are all done by one of our radiologists, Dr. Vijay Anand Subramanian, who is also a photographer.
Ah.
So you can go to Vijay Anand Subramanian and you can see some of his work. He really does a good job.
Yeah, there were some nice ones actually. Yes, thank you. Good job, indeed.
I just say thank you to Deanne, Alma, and Aaron for those kind words. And I will continue to do what I do, and hopefully we'll get more people screened and cured. I'll put a plug in for the Dragon Boat. I know Dr. Dowell has formed a team.
That's
Deanne
right.
was actually a paddler, so we saw Deanne out there enjoying ourselves, and hopefully next year we plan the Dragon Boat September 29th, October, that weekend of September 29th, beginning of October. So September 30th, October 1st. So it'll coincide with the beginning of Breast Cancer Month. So it was strategically put there. So we will see hopefully a lot more participation. I think I approached Alma as well, but she doesn't like swimming. She doesn't like the water, I guess. Hey, Alma?
Dr. Shen, you see this dark tan I have? I don't like the sun.
Thank you, ladies, for such kind words, and hopefully we continue to do well.
Yes. Oh, one last thing. If anyone needs some pink shirts, pink caps, pink anything, we've got lots of supplies at the Cancer Society. Come on down and have a look at. I think Aaron is wearing one, and you would have seen a couple in the background. But we have quite a variety of shirts this year. So come down and check out our supplies and buy a gift for a friend, or a family member. But I think somebody said, what's the time? The time for the bingo, 6:30 on Saturday at Super Club Breezes.
One other thing to mention, to put in the plug for the Cancer Society, I think we're going to try and restart the FIMS program, whereby we bring ladies in from the family islands, do a mammogram, giving them a tour of the center, and then fly them back, giving them lunch and fly them back to the various family islands. So hopefully we can get that restarted again.
Yes. That's been a very successful program over the years. So yes, we would like to highlight that. So it's 8 o'clock. So I think a lot of people have, I think our Prime Minister is doing the address, and that's coming on now. So I promised that we would try to wrap it up by that time. So thank you all for coming and joining us tonight. Thank you for the ladies who shared. Thank you to everyone for your participation. And we'll see you all next month. And hopefully we'll see a lot of you on Saturday at bingo. So good night to all. And stay. Hi. Presentation to Dr. Darvel, yes.
Yes, thank you for her presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
No. Well, we can't start till they get that fixed.